Hello, everybody. It is day 7 of my zero tolerance self-love challenge. We made it 7 days to the max. Yes. This is day 7. I'm grateful for this day. When I started this, I did not know how I was going to make it through. As I was doing this, I didn't know how I was going to make it through, especially with all the technical difficulties that I had. But learning is a part of the process. Growing is a part of the process. I loved myself to continue doing this, and I love you enough to keep doing this for you. We need this in our lives. Anyway, it is day 7. And it is I, Nikita Thomas. I am the author of Zero Tolerance, Life Lessons Learned in God's Love, Volume 1. Volume 2 is on the way. Seasons Change. That is the title of that one. I already have the cover created. I am also the founder of Collins and Ziegler Incorporated, a corporation that is designed to build wealth in communities worldwide. That is what I do. That is what this challenge was centered around. It's focused on self-love is wealth. We are wealth. We are worth. We are value. We have to build ourselves up. This is a daily process. It's something we have to do for ourselves every day. Continue building. We build ourselves on the inside. We build ourselves on the outside. The outside becomes a reflection of our inside. And then when we go into the outside world, eventually we kind of make a difference in the world. And the world becomes a reflection of us. That's how self-love works. We love us to love others. Alrighty, so today's topic is spiritual awareness. It is Spiritual Awareness Sunday. This is one of the most touchy topics that I could ever choose to discuss. And I say that because a lot of people do not like to really get into spirituality. It's something that a lot of people fear talking about. Conversations I've had with people, a lot of people have kind of deterred from spirituality, deterred from just even acknowledging a spiritual life or recognizing themselves as spiritual beings. A lot of people get spirituality mixed with religion. Two totally different things. They are not the same. Religion is a form of, my definition, religion is a title or a label or a group or an association that we identify ourselves with based on our beliefs. That is what I believe. I believe religion is like being a Christian, being a Muslim, being a Pentecostal, being Catholic, Methodist. All those things are religions to me. Those are not the same as spirituality, and I'm going to explain to you why they are not the same as spirituality. No matter how you try to mix the two, they're just not the same. Anyway, spiritual awareness. What is spiritual awareness? Spiritual awareness is basically being spiritually aware, being spiritually awake. It's the ability and the power to see. And of course, I'm using my notes. Yes, I did take notes. I did do research in light also of my personal experience with this. But yes, the ability or the power to see, perceive, and or understand spiritual things or the spiritual things of God. It's being conscious of self. Spiritual wellness, like awareness, like I said, is for me, is like a spiritual awakening. It's the moment we begin to explore our own being in order to become whole and reunite our spirits with our physical bodies in a commonality or purpose. So with that being said, spiritual awareness to me is more than just opening up your eyes in the mornings. Being spiritually awake is more than just waking up and my eyes are open, and I can naturally see everything that's going around me. There's this is two totally different things. To have your eyes open, and open I can see, and being spiritually aware are two totally different things. It's like, if you want to compare it, if I can give you like an analogy of how I see it. If you think about a person who is impaired in their vision, someone who is considered blind and can't see out of their eyes, when you can't see out of your eyes, your other senses, your natural eyes, your other senses are heightened. Your ears, you can hear, your hearing is amplified. Your sense of touch is amplified. When you feel things is different than when I'm looking at this counter versus if I was blind and I felt this counter. And I'm not blind, but I'm sure it's a totally different perception that someone who is blind gets. What's our senses? Smell. Your other senses are heightened when you can't see with your eyes. So that's the way that I see spiritual awareness. It's like when I see things from my spiritual eyes, everything else is kind of amplified for me. It's like I see things in the natural, but I also see things in the spiritual. So my hearing is amplified. Like I hear things a lot differently. Like I hear a voice behind a voice. Like say for instance, if I'm listening to a pastor or somebody speak to me, sometimes, and I've discussed this in my book, sometimes I will kind of get a deaf ear to that person who's sitting right in front of me talking to me, because I'm hearing a voice behind their voice. So to them, it might look like I'm really not listening to them and I'm taking it in, but I'm hearing another voice. I hear something else, and sometimes it's from that spirit that's coming from that person. That I'm hearing something else. It's not a bad thing at all, and it's not scary at all. I've never been afraid of it. My first experience with when did I become spiritually aware, I can honestly say it was when I was a child. I had moments where people in my family would pass away, and when they would pass away, I would know before, like, I was actually told by somebody. Like, for example, I had an aunt pass away, and when she passed, I remember this very clearly, like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my bedroom on my bed, and I just felt this presence. I was by myself, but I felt this presence in the room with me. Like I felt this spirit in the room with me, and I really didn't know what it was, but I kind of knew what it was, because as I've gotten older, I've learned that I get to know the spirit of a person a lot more than who that person is naturally to me. Like, even though that was my aunt, I knew her spirit. So when the presence of her after she passed away came into my room, I knew how her spirit felt when she was around me. So again, I wasn't afraid. But then when my mother came to my room and told me that my aunt had passed, that was basically like confirmation for me. It was like, as a kid, I started kind of connecting. Oh, wait, what, you know what I'm saying? I knew that was something that I felt in the room with me. And then when my mother said, your aunt passed away, we just got the call, then that was like, I really knew, like, oh, okay. So every time someone that I've ever known and been around or spent time with passes, their spirit comes to see me. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Sixth Sense, where the kid in the movie is like, I see dead people. I don't believe that I see dead people. I just believe that I see spirits. And I don't believe that spirits are dead, because if they were dead, I don't think they would be coming to see me. So that's when I really first started to become spiritually aware of knowing that there is another realm that is like, I guess you would say, in operation, or alive, that goes on. It's not something that as a child I was comfortable talking to anybody about, because I didn't think that anyone could relate to me. It was nothing I never heard my parents speak about. My dad is very spiritual. My dad grew up in church. He's very spiritual, but I never really still felt comfortable discussing that with anybody, just because it's not something that I ever heard. If the conversation, I believe, had ever opened itself, like if I had ever heard my parents talking about being spiritually aware, or how they see things, I probably would have been a lot more open with talking about it. But because no one talked about it, I didn't talk about it. So that's when I started to first become more spiritually aware and understand that I could see things outside of a natural realm of life. When I really noticed it and tapped into it was when I had my youngest daughter, my daughter Mackenzie. She has a spiritual awareness that it was beyond me. I had never been around anybody who was like her before. But as a young child, she would go to sleep, and then like she would be in a very sound, peaceful sleep, and then all of a sudden she would wake up out of her sleep. And when she would wake up, she was like very, very hysterical. She would be screaming. She would be saying, "Mom." She would be walking, pointing around like there was something else in the room with us. She would walk across the bed. One time she almost walked off the bed, and that's really when it started to not really bother me, but it started to concern me. Like I started looking more into it, because I said, my daughter is going to hurt herself. Like, what is going on? What is making her wake up like this? What is startling her? And then even more importantly, what has her to where she's just like walking and ready to walk off the bed and fall on the floor and hurt herself? Of course I caught her. She didn't hurt herself, but it was something that just, like I say, she would do it randomly. It was something that really just concerned me as a mother. What is going on here? She would do this around other people. Other people thought that it was something wrong with her, looking at her very judgmentally, like she was just a really distraught and bothered child. I really didn't believe that. I didn't believe that about my own child at all. But what I learned was, over time, as she continued to do this, one day it happened, and it happened for years, but one day she was a little older where she could communicate with me, she, talk to me. And when it happened, I asked her, what do you want me to do? Because she was so upset. She would be so upset when this was happening. Well, what do you want Mom to do? What can I do? As a mother, I just wanted to stop my child from crying, and seemed like she was a little scared of what was going on. So she said, "Sing to him, Mama." So I said, "Sing to him." I said, "No, I don't know what to sing." So I thought along the lines of being spiritual, because at the time I was very much into church. I was following my spiritual path. So the only thing that I could think to say, I think something came to mind, maybe a sermon or something that just reminded me to call on the name of Jesus. And I just started singing the name of Jesus to her. That is all that I was saying. I didn't say any other words. I just started singing Jesus to her in whatever key or whatever tone came to mind. And when I did that, she immediately started to calm down. So I was like, hey, that's the secret right there. I have figured this out. So the next morning I asked my daughter, I said, "Hey, Mackenzie," I said, "when that happens to you, when you wake up in your sleep and you're upset like that, what are you seeing? What's going on?" And she was sitting at the table eating her food, and she very, nonchalantly said, "They're zombies, Mama. They look like zombies." So I was looking at her, because even though she was communicating to me, I didn't really know she knew what a zombie was. So I'm like, zombies? So of course when you think of zombies, the first thing that comes to my mind is, you see that black eye. The whole eyes are black when you see zombies. So I said, well, maybe I need to get a little more insight on this. So I went and talked to a minister of the church I was attending at that time, and I questioned and asked, what is going on with my daughter? I don't understand what's going on. I don't want her to be afraid because I believe she has a gift, and I don't want her to run from this. Like, I would actually like to be able to groom this with her, you know, so that the more she grows up, because to me it kind of seemed like she had a radar. Like, she knew when something was wrong, or she knew when bad spirits were around us. And because she was a kid, like, or because maybe her senses were a lot stronger than everybody else's in the room, she would pick up on these bad spirits being around us. So the minister basically told me, if they look like zombies, they're not angels. That's the first thing she said. She said, angels don't come in that form. They wouldn't look like that. And she said, if they are zombies that she's seeing, or, you know, a form of a zombie, she said, what you don't realize is they're coming for you, not her. But because she's a child and her spirit is more vulnerable, she's able to see them, you know, when you can't see them. So I was like, oh, they're coming for me. So that's when I really was like, she's like an alarm system for me. She's like a radar to let me know, you know, when these spirits are around us. So the minister basically told me her remedy to help my daughter cope with it is to have her read Psalms 23 before she goes to bed, and then get some blessed oil and anoint the windows, anoint the doors, just anoint, you know, our surroundings, and even anoint her head, you know, pray over her. So I would do that, and I would have her recite the 23rd Psalms with me, and she would sleep peacefully. She wouldn't wake up or anything. Her sleep was no more disturbed. And the more we did that, she kind of grew out of it. She just stopped doing it all of a sudden. So like I say, she's very spiritually aware. She's very spiritually awake. But the one thing that scared me was it was like she was in two realms of the world. It was like she was in this natural world where she could see me, but she was in this spiritual world too, where she could see other things that I couldn't see. So she was like pointing these things out to me, and she was showing me what was around us. So again, you know, once the minister gave me the remedy, that's all I did with her, and she stopped doing it after that. I remember talking to a family member, a cousin, who I believe he used to be a minister for years, and he told me one day, we were just having a random conversation. I haven't even only been around him, I don't even think, maybe once or twice, maybe a handful of times in my life, but I've always known him as family on my father's side. And I went to talk to him just randomly. I was going there for something, and some kind of way we got on the topic of spiritual conversations. And he told me how he has a sense where he can see, he used to have this sense where he could see things, like he doesn't even need to be where something is. Like something can be going on in another place, in another city, in another state, and he will get the vision of what's going on, and he will see it. Well, when he first got this awareness, he said it scared him so much, the fear overtook him. So when the fear overtook him, he lost his gift. Well, the irony of what he was telling me was, I have that gift. And I was like, hey, I can do that. You know, I have that ability. I can see things. I don't have to be where someone is, or, you know, around a situation for me to get some type of vision or to see. You know, it's almost like a movie is in my head, and I will get a picture of something that's going on, and it's like I'm there. I'm in that moment, but I'm actually like miles away or nowhere around. So when he told me how he basically lost that ability because he allowed the fear of it to overtake him, I vowed to myself, I am not going to, you know, ever get afraid of whatever gifts I have, whatever, you know, things that God has bestowed on me and given to me, because that's something that's for me, and it's not anything for me to be afraid of. I know a lot of kids, like, I know parents, when kids are like that, or when they act kind of abnormally and see things, kids have, you know, parents have a tendency to kind of cast the kid down, or treat the kid like that something is wrong with the kid and the kid's not really seeing what they're seeing. And no, it's very real. It was very real for me, and it still is. A lot of times when I see people that are out on the streets and maybe it looks like they're talking crazy, talking out the side of their neck. A person might just be standing out there and they might be talking to God or something. I don't discredit those people. I don't look at those people and say, oh, that person is just crazy. Look at that little tick out there. I believe that that person is tapping into a realm of the spirit that, they're in that moment right there. They're in that world. So don't ever discredit anybody because you may not be as spiritually aware, as they are, or spiritually awake as somebody in. I've always been in tune with myself. I've always been in tune with the people that are around me. Some women, we accredit it to being very intuitive, like, if our significant other does something, we pick up on it. It's the same exact thing. There's a spirit operating there because we have a connection to someone that if something goes wrong with that person, or if something is out of sorts with that person, we have a sense that we will know without that person even telling us. I will know, what's going on. I might not say anything because a lot of times, like say for instance, I've been in situations and relationships where someone is cheating on me, and that my spidey sense, that's what I call spiritual awareness, that's what I call being spiritually awake, is when you're always in tune with your spidey sense. My spidey sense will tell me, hey, this person is doing this is going on. Well, because we live, and the reality is when you address somebody who, if you're not there when it actually happens, that person will actually try to lie to you and say, hey, no, that didn't happen, I don't know what you're talking about, you're just crazy, so I'm the type of person that when that spidey sense lets me know, when my senses go off and my alarms go off and let me know that something is not right, I actually wait for the proof. From that point on, I won't say anything. I let it marinate. I meditate on it, and I give myself the advantage in the situation. I do the research. I kind of dig. I'm not necessarily like too much of a spy, but I try to get enough substantial evidence to where when I go and finally address this with this person, I don't want this person to have any room to lie to me. None whatsoever. When you come and you try to lie and you try to say, I don't know what you're talking about, that's just, you just crazy. You just feeling stuff that, no, bruh. This. I come at you with the facts. So, and a lot of times, like I say, even when that happens with us women, we get very emotional in that moment. It's a very emotional thing when your senses go off and kind of alert you and alarm you to what's going on. It's very easy to become unstable in that moment and kind of just go crazy and go ham on a brother, and then that's how we end up staying with them, because we react to what we are sensing before we have that proof to put out there to them. Say for instance, we kind of track down the female that they messing with or whatever. We find some type of hard evidence to where when I come at you with this, you're not gonna be able to talk your way out of this. No way, no how, bruh. It's not happening. And that goes both ways. But see, because men are not as in tune, men don't try to be as in tune as women are. It just doesn't always work for them like that. It works for some men, it does, but not for all. Most men actually wait for the proof, or they don't really know what's going on until they get some proof. And then it's like, oh, you was just pulling the wool over my eyes, you was doing this, you was doing that. It goes both ways. That's what it is. So we have to be careful. When we have spiritual gifts, when we are spiritually awake and spiritually aware, we have to be very careful with how we entertain those gifts, and how we respond to having those gifts. And it's not easy. It's not easy to have a spiritual sense, an eye where you can see things beyond what's actually in front of you. So be careful. You know, just understand that being awake and being aware is more than just opening your eyes every day, because there are blind people who are a lot more awake and aware than many of us who are walking around with no impairment in our eyes. You know, somebody who can walk across that street and can hear and know when a car is coming and avoid getting hit without anybody helping them, with just the tap of a pole, you know, to help them. That's a level of seeing things that, you know, is beyond measure. I wrote a poem years ago, blind eyes can't see till they open their ears. That is something that I believe. I don't believe that everybody who sits in front of us, who is actually looking at us, really sees us for who we are in the spiritual sense. Yes, you can see me physically. You see the clothes I have on, you see the color of my skin, but do you see what is underneath all this? Do you see the gifts that I have? Do you see who I am, you know, spiritually, not just naturally? That is a whole different realm of being a person. That is a whole nother being. How do you know when you are aware? I'll tell you how I knew that I was aware. Like I say, not just when I was a kid, just seeing things. I just knew, you know, that I was a lot more awake than most people that were around me. One of the number one things that kind of made me feel that way is because I've always been more of a listener than a talker. I'm quick to listen. My ears are always open. I would rather listen a lot of times than talk. But you know, we live in a world where you have to communicate. So you can't always afford to just sit there and listen and never say anything. I've spent a lot of my life being very quiet, you know, being very silent, just observing things, just taking things in spiritually, but not really talking too much about it. And something that one of the number one reasons why I didn't like to talk too much was because a lot of times when I would speak, like say for instance in my book I talk about how I started a job, and when I first started, because I'm learning the job, I'm very quiet, I'm listening, I'm observing, I'm learning how to do my job. I'm there for a reason, so I wouldn't talk as much. You know, I'm taking everything in. I want to do this to the best of my ability. So that's how I would start a job out. Well, over time, the demand kind of came on me for me to speak, you know, in moments where we would have meetings and things. Well, what I've always experienced is usually when I open my mouth and start speaking, it kind of intimidates people sometimes. And I'm not really sure where the intimidation comes in. I don't know if it's because when I speak, a lot of times I have a very authoritative voice. If I'm going to say something to you, I am going to mean what I say. I'm going to say what I mean. That does mean that sometimes it might come out sounding a little mean from me, because I might have to mean what I say to you. In order for you to know that I'm saying what I mean. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, I really mean what I say. When I open my mouth, I intend to say something that is of value to you, that is of worth. I'm not the type of person who I just want to talk just to talk. I prefer to be quiet. But there's a difference between, I believe, being spiritually aware and spiritually awake and being quiet. I think that's a difference than being introverted, because even though, you know, I'm very much to myself, I believe that I'm more of an extrovert than an introvert. And I say that because I'm very comfortable being open with myself. I'm very comfortable with being transparent with who I am. So I'm very, very, very much extroverted. But because I am always taking things in or always looking within, it puts me in a place to where I'm kind of always in a meditative state. Like even without praying all the time or even without meditating all the time, I'm kind of always in this conscious state of prayer, this conscious state of awareness, this conscious state of being. I'm just like always like that. And again, I'm sure that has come from years of me actually grooming the gift that I have, and actually grooming myself as far as being aware and not so much being afraid of it. I'm sure that comes from that. So how do you know when you are spiritually aware? Some of the things that when I did my research, and some of the things that I agree with, because that is how I know when I'm spiritually aware. You value life more. You appreciate things more. You connect with you connect with life on a level that's bigger than you. You connect with everything. You connect with people, places, things, nature. You connect with everything. That is how you know you are spiritually aware and spiritually awake. I remember one time I was sitting with a lady. She was a church member of a church that I was attending. Actually, I was attending a Methodist church, and her and I were sitting on a dock, on a bank, a river bank, sitting kind of up on a hill. Though we were sitting there, and we were just having a conversation, just kind of, talking about life in general, just random everyday stuff. And as we were talking, and I was listening to her, I was looking out over the water. I was looking at. As I looked out, there was water, but there was also houses. There were houses. There were boats on the water. So as I'm looking out there, I just started taking in nature. I just started taking in the scenery. I really started embracing it. And as I'm looking at it in the midst of her conversation, again, the way I kind of zone out sometimes, I zoned out kind of out of the conversation, and she got quiet for a minute. And as she got quiet, she started looking at me. And as I'm looking out over the water in her silence, I heard her get silent, and I said, look at all this. Look what's in front of you. Just look at it. Just like take it in. Look at the earth as it is. Look at the trees. Look at the grass. Look at what is in front of you. Not necessarily the people, the cars, look at nature for what it is. Look at the existence of things that are not man-made. And as I was saying this to her, look at the sky. Look at the clouds. As I was saying this to her and taking this in, all of a sudden a rainbow appeared in the sky. And when that rainbow appeared, she without hesitation said, Keita, that's for you. And I, kind of surprised. I said, what do you mean that's for me? And she said, well, you're one of the only people in the world I know that looks at life the way that you do. She said, and I believe that is God speaking to you, and that is God basically telling you thank you, for how you're looking at life, for how you're looking at creation. And for me, again, that was a moment where I experienced a spiritual awareness, a spiritual awakening moment. I don't believe that we have spiritual awakenings or we are only spiritually aware once in our lives. I believe this is a continuous process that we experience things or we entertain things or things come into our world that continue to keep our eyes open, continue to keep us spiritually aware, continue to wake us up. Some people don't pay attention to the signs, that they see. So a lot of people, like I say, are walking around eyes wide open, but eyes wide shut at the same time. So in that moment, I became a lot more spiritually aware of myself and who I am. And I kind of looked at that, looked at her as far as, well, why don't you look at life like that? Usually when somebody makes me aware of who I am and can see, can tell me who I am and how I am, I'm very quick to kind of question, well, what's the difference between me and you? Why don't you look at life? Why don't you embrace this? Why don't you see what I see? And, I didn't ask her this, but I asked that question. I asked that question of people who, why don't you see what I see? Are you so busy that, or so caught up in things that don't really matter that much that you really don't embrace life as it is? That seeing life for what it is, letting things happen the way that they happen, that's another example, another way that you know you are spiritually aware, you are not trying to control things. I don't try to control life. I honestly don't. I love to see things happen according to a plan that is out of my control, according to something that, you know, that happened for a reason, that happened for a purpose. It didn't necessarily happen because I made it happen, but it happened for me, and it happened to me, and there's a reason that that happened for me and to me. Now let me try to find out and figure out what the reason is. You know, that's what we do. We analyze life. That's how we keep ourselves awake in a situation. Another way that I know that I'm spiritually awake and aware is I have spiritual leaders and spiritual guides that have always been in my life, whether it's a pastor, whether it's a teacher, whether it's, you know, anybody, a guru, a coach, a mentor, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a spouse, my kids, somebody who just presents things to me in a way that it gives me confirmation. It makes me see things. It opens me up more to life. When I had my daughters, and I have 4 daughters, every time I had a daughter, it's like each one of my daughters represented who I was in that moment. And each time I had a daughter, each daughter represented how much I had grown. So when I had my youngest daughter, my youngest daughter represented the very naive, gullible me, you know, the very soft-hearted me, and that's the way she is, because that's who I was in that moment. And every time I had a daughter, I would see those different stages of who I was in that moment. And then by the time I have all 4 of these girls looking at me, I have 4 pair of eyes. I have 8 eyeballs looking at me constantly, and these eyes were a reflection of me, because what they were was who I was. So when they did something wrong, you know, it was something I knew. Oh, they learned that from me. They got that from me. You know, and maybe if it wasn't something that they got from me, it still allowed me to be aware of the people that were around me, because, oh, they got that from them. You know, they learned that from that person. So it even made me, my daughters made me even more aware, and made me want to be more awake even with myself, because I saw myself in them. And, you know, that's where my awareness started to grow even more. Some other ways that you know that you're aware and awake is you like to avoid conflict. I don't necessarily like conflict. I can deal with conflict. It's not to say that I can't deal with it, but when it says that we avoid conflict, we try to avoid being the conflict, but that's kind of hard to do, because sometimes being who we are, being awake when other people are not as awake or are aware or sleep around us, we become a conflict around that person. You don't mesh well with people who are asleep. So that's how you know that you're awake, and how you're aware. So how do we gain wealth with spiritual awareness? How do you become more spiritual awake? Because the more awake you are and the more awareness you have, like I say, our self, we are worth, we are value. So to increase our value and to increase our worth, to make sure we're not sleeping on life and life is not sleeping on us, and we're not sleeping on ourselves, that's the most important thing. If other people sleep on you, you know, and who you are, fine and dandy, you know, but don't sleep on yourself. You know, try to be as aware as you can of yourself, and then, you know, also be aware of your surroundings and who's around you. So we gain awareness and awakening by doing things like meditating, digging deep, going inside yourself, pulling who you are from the inner, and bringing yourself out to the surface. So say for instance, if you have thoughts that are going on inside of you, journal, you know, bring that stuff to the surface. Meditate, allow your thoughts to, and like I say in my book Zero Tolerance, I like to say, let it marinate. Let things marinate sometimes. Don't always be so quick to overthink something. Don't be so quick to always be in control of your thoughts. Allow spirit allow spirit to give you the awareness of what's going on. Don't be so quick to try to figure something out. I'm quick to sit there and let stuff marinate. I might see it, but okay, maybe I'm only seeing a piece of it. Maybe I'm only seeing a part of it. Now now that I've seen this piece, I want to see it in whole. I want to see the big picture. Now let me allow my awareness to open me up to see all that I need to see in this moment. Let me open myself up to see the big picture. It's like watching a movie in life. We watch a movie. A movie is not a second long. A movie is not you see the title of the movie and now you know what the movie is. That is not how movies work. A movie is you watch the title, you watch the introduction credits, who's in the movie. All these things you're taking in. All these things are pieces to the puzzle. You're taking each piece of this information in, so that it's psychology. So you can make some type of deductive or inductive reasoning about the ending, what you're gonna see, what you're taking this drive, you're on this path to see what's gonna happen at the end. But you don't know that from the start of the movie. You don't just know that from the title. Now you might have an idea from the title, you might have an idea from the trailer, but even the people who produce, the directors and producers who put these movies together, even the actors and actresses are very quiet about what's going on. Nobody just gives you the whole movie before you go to see the movie, because the goal is to get you to come see the movie. And of course, when it comes to it being a business, the goal is to make money on the movie. So why show you the whole movie, before you've actually come out to pay for the movie? Okay? So it's like a movie. You start at the opening credits. You start at the title. Then now, as the movie is going for whatever, 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, however long this movie is now, you have to sit there. And you have to silently sit there. Now, you can say some stuff in your head, and if you're at home, you can talk to the TV and say some stuff to the TV. But if you go out to the movies, 9 times out of 10, nobody is really saying too much when this movie is going on. Everybody is silent. Nobody's saying anything. They're quiet. We want to see what's going to happen in the movie, at the end of the movie. So you're watching this movie. You're going, okay? Start out the title, the introduction. You're watching the movie. Okay, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, that happened. Sometimes if it's a really good movie, the really good movies for me are the ones that when you get to the end, you have to go back and watch that movie again, because, oh my goodness, I did not expect that to happen. Who knew that was going to happen? I kind of had an idea. I was thinking in my mind, I was trying to figure it out, but that kind of blew me away. So I need to go back, because there were some clues in that movie that I didn't catch. My husband now, he's very good at watching a movie and catching those clues. And while I'm watching the movie, he's like, he's the person who when, we kind of keep each other awake a lot of times. So he's the person that sometimes when I'm kind of sleeping, and I am literally someone who will go to sleep in a movie. we went to see several movies, and I will fall asleep like it's nothing, because I'm not doing anything physically. I'm not moving around. I have to be stimulated. A movie has to stimulate me for me to watch it with my eyes open from beginning to end. It really has to move me. So my husband will kind of talk to me through the movie, and he'll say, Keita, did you catch that? Did you see that? And me, because I'm kind of asleep in the movie, I'll say, hey, no, I didn't see that. Let me rewind it. And my husband's like, no, I already seen it. You missed it. I don't want to rewind. And I'm like, no, let me go back and see that. Let me catch it. Sometimes I have to rewind the movie I need to get the full picture so I can see it. So sometimes I watch a movie with him, and I don't want to bother him by rewinding it, but as the movie's going, he'll tell me, hey, Keita, did you catch that? Did you see that? Did you see that? So I'll take that in, and when he's not around, maybe he's at work or something, I'll sit and I'll watch that movie by myself, and I'll remember the things he told me to look out for and watch out for, and I'll really get the big picture of what's going on. That's how life is. That's how it is. You can't always know what it is from the title. Even looking at my book, Zero Tolerance, when you look at my book has increments of money on the front of it, and it says Zero Tolerance. I'm pretty sure if I just showed my book to people without them really knowing what the contents are, I would probably get all type of, perceptions and different ideas about what it is. Oh, well, it's a book about money. It's a book about numbers. It's a book about zero tolerance. You don't care about anything. I would get all kind of perceptions about what my book is about. But no, you have to actually get into the book and read the book and see what it's about. Yes, it could be about money. Yes, it could be about numbers. Yes, it could be about this. Yes, it could be about that. But you don't know until you actually read the book. That's why I love reading books, because you never know really where a book is going to take you. A book to me it's an eye into a world. It's kind of like the movie world it's the movie world on paper. What was a movie before it became a movie? It was a script on paper. Somebody sat down and wrote out a whole script, a whole manuscript of a movie, and then other people came in and they took what was on that paper, and they brought it to life and put it on a big screen and added visuals to it that actually aid you in what you can see. That's what our natural eyes are for. Our natural eyes aid us in what we see spiritually. All of our senses aid us in what we see spiritually. When we see a piece of chicken, our nose lets us know that smells like chicken. That is chicken. When you bite into that, your taste buds let you know, unless your taste buds don't work, unless your sense of smell doesn't work. Your taste buds are there to let you know that is what chicken tastes like, So being spiritually aware is just being awakened. It is knowing that, for me, it's a guarantee, that a certainty that I can't even explain to you. It's like when I'm spiritually aware and I'm spiritually awake, I can go into a situation not really knowing how it's going to end. Like I said, it's like a movie. I know the title of the movie. Well, I know how this is going to begin. It's going to begin with me walking in and say starting a conversation, or if I'm going to work, I know how it's going to begin. I don't know how my day is going to end. But for me, I'm the type of person that whatever I do, because of my spiritual awareness, because I believe that something greater than me is always working in my favor, is always working in your favor, is always working in our favor. I'm the type of person who I will walk off of a cliff and feel like at some point I might not have the parachute strapped on me, but at some point before I touch the bottom, before I hit rock bottom, something is going to catch me. Somewhere, somehow, a parachute is going to come and it's going to pull me back up. That's how my faith operates. That is, to me, the essence of being spiritually aware and spiritually awake. It's like we have no worries. And it's not that we don't care. It's just that some things are not worth worrying about. Some things it will take care of itself. Just let life be what it is. Just let spirit be spirit. It's like, just let God be God, and you be you, and me be me, and whatever that is, it's okay. So that is what spiritual awareness means to me. That is even from the research what I have found that spiritual awareness is. And it's pure. It's a very pure state of being. There's no judgmentalness in spirituality. It's an unconditional thing. You love life unconditionally. You love breathing unconditionally. It's eternal. I believe that spiritual awareness and spiritual awakening is eternal. It's like, I don't believe that you ever really go to sleep. I don't believe that even when people die, that they ever really go to a place of rest. And I say that because every time someone has passed when I was a kid, and even as I've grown as an adult, they come to see me, you know. So the physical body is gone, but that spirit is still, you know, in the atmosphere. I believe that my ancestors, you know, that they are always with me. I don't need like some type of poltergeist type of, you know, paranormal activity, you know, in my life to let me know, you know. I don't need like curtains blowing, you know, just out of the way, and the window isn't even open or stuff like that, doors to slam and close, and you know, I don't need those type of things. And I believe that the main reason is I don't need those type of things. I don't need spirits to make themselves that aware to me like that. Is because I know, and I believe without a shadow of a dark doubt that that's like a, that's how spirit moves, just like that. I know without a shadow of a dark doubt that spirit is true and it's real. So I'm pretty sure even right now I could be like I say, how my daughter was around me. It could be spirits around me right now, you know, and I'm very comfortable in, if that spirit wanted to let me know it's here or whatever, you know, I'm good with that. So again, don't be afraid of the spirit that lives within you. Don't be afraid of the spirit that lives with anybody. Get to know the spirit of a person. When you get to know the spirit of a person, there's a discernment that will grow in you, that will develop in you, that you'll be able to know if this person is going to do something wrong to you. You'll know ahead of time. Trust me from personal and professional experience. You will know that this person is going to do you dirty. But again, you give yourself the advantage by knowing this and allowing God to cover you, allowing spirit to say, I'm going to show you, I'm going to reveal to you that this person is going to do you dirty, but I'm going to also let you know when this happens, I got you. That's how spirit is. That's how spirit has always been with me. I live fearlessly. That is another characteristic of being spiritually aware and spiritually awake. We are fearless. We don't fear people. You know why? Because spirit will let us, that spidey sense will let you know something is not right with that person. You know what I'm saying? And listen, don't keep trying to deal with this person or be in a relationship with this person or stay at this job, you know, knowing that this person is going to do something wrong to you, unless, you know, like I say, unless you feel led to stay there knowing that I'm good, I'm covered. You know what I'm saying? That is a guarantee. And that is how I live. That I love being spiritually aware. I love being spiritually awake. A lot of people have accused me of being asleep, and I may have been asleep on them because they were asleep, but I was never asleep on myself. I've always been very spiritually aware of myself, and I've allowed myself to grow and develop as a spiritually aware and spiritually awake person. It is the most beautiful thing in the world to me. There's nothing greater than being spiritually aware and spiritually awake. Believe me when I tell you that. Like I say, if you are around people and something is wrong, and you have to be careful about who you let around you, because all spirits are not good spirits. I had a situation yesterday happen that reminded me that the spirit of someone actually rubbed off on me and kind of affected me in a way that I didn't even realize, you know, what was happening. But I did know. I knew when that person was around me that their spirit was not right, but I didn't realize how it had affected me while they were around me. So that person had a very strong spirit, and the good spirits are just as strong as the bad spirits. Trust me when I tell you, I have dealt with the bad spirits, and I have cried and questioned God. Why does that bad spirit get to do what they're doing? Why? My spirit is a good spirit. I try to keep my spirit as good and as pure as I can. Why do these bad spirits just seem to be getting the best of me? Well, it's because good spirits have as much power as bad spirits. But the key is the bad spirits, just as much as the good spirits, only have as much power as you give them. If you do not give the bad spirits power, the bad spirits will go away. Trust me when I say that. When you give the good spirits power, the good spirits will grow. You know what I'm saying? We need more good spirits on the earth. We need more good life on the earth. So I do my best not to feed into the bad spirits. That is something that I work on every day. Even my spirit is not always good. I got some bad spirit in me. You know, if from nothing else, from ancestry, from things I've been through, from people I've been around, I have reaped some bad spirit from people, and I have to, you know, battle myself sometimes. I will battle myself before I will battle anybody in life. I don't live to battle people, but I live to battle myself. I live to battle and challenge the spirit in me. I will battle those bad spirits in me until they are gone, and I will challenge the good spirits in me to live on and live more. So, day 7, that is it. 7-day challenge. We made it. We did it. I am so proud of myself for doing this. I am so proud of you for doing this with me. I am looking forward to doing this again. I'm going to critique what I have done. I am going to enhance what I have done. I am going to rewatch my videos and look at myself and constructively critique myself on what I have done. I'm going to add more to this, more value, more worth. I'm going to grow and develop with this. What am I going to do tomorrow? It's Monday. I'm going to get back into my little regular routine a little bit. I'm going to do a blog that will be available on my website at www.candz as in zebra inc.com, Collins and Ziegler Inc. You can Google me. I'm going to write a blog about this, and I'm going to continue, you know, being who I am and doing what I do. I'm going to continue to challenge myself every day, you know, in every way, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, financially, and what was our other one? Spiritually. I'm going to continue to challenge myself every day, and I want you to do the same for yourself. You need you. You need you before anybody else needs you, and don't let anybody ever tell you different. But you do need people to tell you that they need you. If my husband did not need me, I would not be here. If I did not need my husband, he would not be here. If I didn't need a dog for some reason, my dog wouldn't be here. If my dog didn't need me, I wouldn't be here. My dog would have a different owner. So you need you. You know, you need to love yourself. That is what this challenge was all about. No doubt whatsoever. It is a self-love challenge. It is about building your worth and your value of who you are. When you build you, you can build everything else around you with no problem. Trust me when I tell you, I'm your proof. If you want proof, if you're ever looking for an example and you're like, hey, because all I ever needed was one example. All I've ever needed was one example. I didn't need a group of people. I didn't need millions to gajillions to trillions of people. All I needed was one example. If you give me one example of one person who has done what my mind tells me that I can do, or something that I want to do, or something that I'm trying to do. If you give me one example, it's done. I can do it. And even if I don't have one example, guess what? I become the example. I don't even need to have an example. I will be the example. I will be the example that you need to say, to have somebody to look at and say, if she can do it, I can do it. First 4 letters of my name, Nike, N-I-K-E-E-T-A, Nike. Just do it. That is what life is all about. Just do it, people. 7-day challenge, we did it.